Hey all, here are OS Reviews. So portable monitors are kind of a dime a dozen these days. There's been many iterations that you can now find at pretty affordable costs, but the one we're taking a look at today is just a bit more unique. It's from MageDok, and they actually have quite a few categories of these portable screens. You can choose ultra high resolution panels up to 4K Ultra HD, as well as super high refresh rate panels up to 300 Hertz. That might be a little overkill, since I think anything above, let's say 120 Hertz is already kind of indistinguishable to the human eye, I would argue, but there you have it, very high spec. And they also have another category of stylus pen support with pressure sensitivity, so it works with any Microsoft pen protocol, aka MPP pens that are designed for Surface. It was previously called Intrig, so you're able to have over 4090 levels of pressure sensitivity for drawing and doodling. But the category that we're taking a look at today is a portable OLED monitor. OLED, aka AMOLED screens, have been pretty popular on phones for a while now, but they are much smaller, and it's only until recently that we started to see them pop up more commonly on larger screen tablets and even laptops increasingly. And of course, compared to IPS LCD screens, OLED displays have much better contrast because the blacks are pitch dark. That's because there are no light being emitted when it's displaying a completely black image. In fact, it consumes little power. It's only when it's showing colors like white when a pixel gets emitted, and as a result, it gives you a really eye-popping, contrasty effect. It actually comes in a few different versions. Some of the cheaper models, in fact, are actually surprisingly not bad, such as this one called the PI-X7 is a 13.3-inch version, selling for around $270, and another version, which goes for a little bit more, has a sharper 2K resolution compared to full HD resolution, and you can even pay a little bit more for a 4K resolution option as well, not to mention other ones which are in between. So the pricing on larger screen OLED devices seem to be starting to trickle down a little bit as the manufacturing process becomes more standardized. It used to be really prohibitive in cost. That being said, a similarly spec'd IPS LCD portable monitor would probably still be cheaper, something like around just $100, $150. Well, the one that we're looking at today is more of their mid-range model, so it's not quite the cheapest, but it's also because it's a slightly larger screen, 14 inches compared to 11 or 13 inches, and also having a slightly higher res at 2K compared to 1080p. Also, it's a fast refresh rate panel at 90 Hz compared to the standard 60 Hz. If you want that extra screen real estate for media consumption, multitasking, when you're connecting it to a laptop or a computer, mini PC, this might be worth considering. So it claims to cover 100% of the DCI P3 color gamut, so it should be extremely vibrant. Again, 10-bit colors can be displayed, accurate as well if you're trying to do some Photoshop, photo editing work, and has a VESA mount that you can use to attach it even onto a wall or stand if you wanted to. But as a portable monitor, it obviously can be just placed in your bag and has a built-in kickstand, similar to a Surface device. And the fast refresh rate as well as quick response times makes it also suitable for gaming, where you want lower latency and just faster moving images in addition to the color that this one provides. So it comes in a package like this, and it actually has its own protective sleeve to prevent damage when you're taking it with you on the go. And down below we have just a quick user guide. This is the PI-X7, and then we also get a USB Type-C cable for power. You also have some additional full-size HDMI adapters for connecting other, for example, DVD players, as well as gaming consoles like Xbox, PlayStation to it, VESA mounting brackets, and also another Type-C to Type-C cable if you want to use it with a newer generation laptop that can provide video input using just Type-C. And there's also a power outlet that's using a pretty standard Type-C port on the end to provide enough juice to turn on the monitor. That being said, if you are using it with a lot of the newer generation Chromebooks as well as Windows laptops out there, the laptop itself should be sufficient for driving enough juice to turn on the screen. However, if you're trying to run it for extended periods of time, then I would still recommend using some type of external power source or even a power bank when you're on the go. The entire monitor is constructed out of a single unibody chunk of metal, aluminum alloy, incredibly cold and solid to the touch, kind of similar to an iPad or a Galaxy Tab in its construction. On the rear, we do have built-in stereo speakers. So again, if your mini PC doesn't have audio, you can use the ones built in here, although it's going to be very similar in quality to a phone or tablet speaker. You can always use headphones for better sound. And then there is the kickstand that you can pop out, and it's a pretty stiff kickstand that can hold the position at a variety of angles. So you can set it at a more slanted angle or a sharper incline. And on the edge, you can tell it is extremely slim, and that is one of the benefits of OLED. And it has to be a little thicker just to accommodate the I/O and controls for the advanced menus that we'll see in a moment. And then finally, on the bottom here, we do have some soft touch rubber feet that prevents it from sliding around when you are setting it onto a table. Then on the left-hand spine, you get the full-size HDMI, USB Type-C for power, as well as the second Type-C for display. There's also a 3.5mm headphone jack, as well as a mini display port. So a pretty good set of I/O for such a thin and light monitor. And up front, we have, of course, that beautiful OLED display, pretty slim bezels on the left, right, and top, slightly larger chin at the bottom, but not bad at all. Here's a quick size comparison with some of the other larger screen OLED tech that we've covered on our channel, including the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 having a 10.5-inch OLED or AMOLED screen, as Samsung calls it. Lenovo Chromebook Duet 5 is a 13-inch OLED tablet/Chromebook hybrid that also has, again, pretty similar dimensions. So again, I'm really happy to see for folks that want a higher quality OLED display, we can find more and more examples of it being used on larger screen form factors from a variety of manufacturers. And these are just the tablet examples. You can, of course, find more in the laptop space these days, but I think this also served as a good alternative for folks that already have a powerful enough main laptop. They may not want to necessarily upgrade it or have a OLED screen permanently on their regular computer. You can pick up something like this to still get that experience when connected for media, for example, or gaming, and then unplug it when you're not using it. It actually might be a little bit more cost effective instead of upgrading the entire computer just for a screen. So turning the monitor on, it just says OLED MageDok, and after a couple of seconds, it should automatically recognize the I/O that's been connected to, but you can also switch between different sources using these settings. So I will point out that the Type-C port is the best one if you want to leverage the touch functionality of the monitor, which is not going to be supported if you're using only HDMI, which is a video-only signal port. So in this example, we've just connected a Samsung Galaxy S series phone that transforms into the DeX, aka desktop mode, when paired to an external monitor, essentially transforming the smartphone into a mini computer of sorts. You can connect a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse and use this as a desktop or laptop alternative for simple web browsing. It can replace a Chromebook even, one of the good applications there from Samsung, and this again, it's looking quite sharp and nice on this panel. Now, if we jump into some of the advanced settings, if we tap on here, we're able to also touch on the screen directly for adjusting properties like brightness of the panel. At 100%, it actually looks very good, even if there's a bit of ambient light hitting on the screen. It is a glossy screen though, so it still attracts a bit of smudges and fingerprints, but the upside is the contrast looks even more rich, and you have a smooth sensation as you're pressing over it with your fingers. Notably though, there isn't a screen protector included in the box, but you can always apply your own film if you want a different texture or a way to protect the screen. Now you can also turn on and off kind of a filter to make it slightly more yellowish in terms of the tint, and also play around with the volume of the built-in speakers. So under the next tab over here, you can change into a few different settings for the monitor. Text mode, a bit more clear, more white in color, and also the neutral one that we saw there from before. This one down below also gives us a gaming mode, which is not going to emphasize some of the saturation quite as much. It's a bit more of a palish color, but might be better for your eyes as you are engaging with longer sessions. And another one here can be found as an eco mode that will consume a little bit less power. So between reading, movies, images, as well as gaming, you have a few different preset color temperatures that the screen is capable of. And the next one here is a more customized color profile that you can use to change the RGB values in a more precise way if you want it to be more red versus green versus blue, as well as the color temperature also gives you a few different presets from warmer to cooler that you can play with. And next one here allows you to change the sharpness as well as the saturation and hue. So in similar fashion, you can see how adjusting some of these properties will definitely change the way that the display there looks. And again, you're able to crank up all of these properties, including the gamma value as well, if you want it to be really super saturated. We can also choose between different input sources from here, as well as turn on and off the HDR profile mode to make it, again, a bit more boosted by default. And when tilting it, you can tell that the viewing angles, as expected of an OLED panel, are still going to be retained when it comes to colors, pretty much never washing out. Well, aside from maybe a bit of glare, as you can tell, which again is a bit of a downside of a glossy panel. This is the steepest angle, by the way, that you can position the monitor at, versus again, if we try and push it back a little bit more, you can have it at the furthest back angle that looks something like this. That being said, even in the quote-unquote easel mode, just keep in mind that this particular model is touch only, supporting up to 10 fingers. It doesn't have the stylus Microsoft PIM protocol support. But if that is a feature that you're looking for as a graphic artist, for example, you can find it if you're willing to spend a little bit more, or alternatively pick one of their IPS LCD portable monitors with the stylus capability. And now here we have a Chromebook connected, still using Type-C, so as you can tell, touch will be fully supported, just like on Windows computers without really any issues. It's only when showing off really vibrant looking colors which are pitch black in the background. A lot of even Netflix TV shows have a tendency to do that with very dark scenes, such as in Game of Thrones. You can expect just a more immersive viewing experience with a true OLED panel like this. Again, colors just really pop, even on the natural mode that it's currently sitting on. I'm not even bumping it up into some of the oversaturated colors, but it still is looking so good. And again, 2K resolution I would say is also plenty sharp, especially for a 14-inch screen that we have here in front of us. PPI still looks quite good without really any discernible pixels that I can notice when sitting about a foot away from the monitor. Let's also shift into kind of a quick demo of what audio sounds like with that built-in stereo speakers on the back of the monitor. So let's load up a second clip over here. Alright, so turning the volume down over there. Takeaway being that it actually sounds decent, but again, it's not too different from a phone or tablet in this regard. It's not really advertised for the best audio experience. At least it's good that there's one built in when you need to use it as a backup, but definitely headphones or Bluetooth can get you better bass as well as more immersive audio. But okay for a monitor speaker, that is. And again, with some of the reading modes on here, you can also use it for some productivity work, and it should still be a comfortable enough feeling screen for that. Again, text details do look quite clear. So as an example, let's go over to a site like The Verge and see how it handles loading up this page. And again, just beautiful when it comes to the visual experience, especially since The Verge is a website that is, I think, very well suited for OLED-like panels because the background is completely dark, making the text just pop even more along with the colors, as you can tell there. In fact, serving just an example here, this is what a spreadsheet will look like. I think by default, so the higher resolution, again 2K, does mean that some of the properties are scaled down a little bit, which is why some of the icons like tabs here by default are a bit on the small side. But luckily under display property settings on your computer, you're able to scale it up, magnify it to something like 125 or 150%. Might be the most comfortable format depending on what you feel looks good for you. But that is one of the, I guess, flip sides to having a higher resolution packed into a smaller monitor, is sometimes it gets treated as a bigger screen and you do have smaller icons by default. But again, completely customizable, and again, looking quite good for these spreadsheets, for office work, as well as another example of a Word document. Things are still very clear if you're using it for reading, in addition to entertainment. Here's also a couple of examples of what it would be like if you are trying to game on the monitor. Again, contrast is beautiful looking, so especially for scenes that are more challenging with shadows and textures, that's going to be also quite advantageous for this monitor. And with the 90 Hz refresh rate, I would honestly say it's good enough for things like, again, just faster action scenes, as well as when you're scrolling up and down longer documents, you get less of that tearing or ghosting effect, and it still feels smooth when you are looking at it. Again, technically, maybe a 120 Hz screen might be even faster, or 144, but unless you're comparing them side by side, I would say the jump from 60 Hz to 90 Hz is the most noticeable. And from that point onwards, it's more incremental if you're being super nitpicky. So this is actually a pretty good, I would say, middle ground, and everything, again, still feels quite smooth. So I feel like it's fairly versatile, whether it's gaming entertainment, which typically works better on wider screens, versus productivity that prefers more of a kind of boxy screen to see more of that page. This kind of sits right in the middle, and it's a pretty good general use monitor for different tasks that you're throwing at it. viewing back a video here while taking notes on the side. This would serve as an example, or maybe even using a calculator since this is a fully touch-sensitive panel, as you can tell there. So maybe running 2 tabs or windows side by side is an okay experience, but again, even larger screens can be more beneficial in this regard. So that is more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the MageDok PI-X7, again a 14-inch 2K res 90Hz OLED portable monitor, kind of a mouthful there, but it stacks up to being one of the most impressive portable monitors that I've reviewed on this channel, and certainly the colors are just so vibrant and eye-catching. So for lovers of OLED screens, I think this is good news because it shows that more and more of these displays are becoming available. The cost is also slowly coming down a bit compared to the early days. Of course, it's still going to be more expensive than IPS LCD, but again, if you are looking for that upgrade, at least we are starting to see gradual reductions. And again, you could always pick one of their more cost-effective models as well that only goes around $260 if you can make do with a slightly lower res screen. And again, 60 Hz can still be good for purposes like general computing as well as watching back movies, but this one will be even smoother for things like gaming, for example. So anyways, pretty interesting to see. You can check out more details if you are interested in the links down below. But for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. Again, that's been the MageDok PI-X7